Hi, you guys. So, today I want to talk about something that lays heavy on my heart. We have had a death in the family, and that just that got me thinking about life and death and the beliefs that we choose to hold, the meaning that we choose to put on death, right? Like, what does that death mean for us? So I started thinking, why do some people choose to believe that there is something after death and others don't? I can't speak for other people, but I know in my experience, the first time that I have experienced death of a loved one was in 2020 when my grandmother died. She was the person who was there with me and for me since the age of 5. I believe I was attached to her, that she was a big part of my life. And for years I've been wondering, have I grieved her properly? Because when I found out that she passed on, I was still sleeping, and my mom, she barged into the room and she was like, "Grandmother's dead." And so I remember, as if it was yesterday, I remember the shock because nobody was expecting it. We were all 100% sure that she's gonna come back home and from the hospital, and she's gonna stay with us, and we're gonna see her and talk to her, because she was a woman full of vitality, right? And so it was a really big shock. I cried a lot. I remember the funeral was a few days after, and everyone was crying, and I can remember the pain that I felt from everyone around me. I felt my own pain, and I felt the pain of everyone around me. And then I also remember how I created this story that made me feel better. So in my mind, our minds are very powerful. So what I created to make myself feel better was, I imagined my grandmother passing on, and I imagine her, until this day, I imagine her somewhere peaceful, somewhere light, beautiful, like a garden, basically heaven. This is how I imagine the heaven is. Everything is super white, everything is bright and warm and just so peaceful. And then I imagine her doing her gardening and singing and dancing and doing all of the things that she loves to do. I imagine her reunited with her mother and her sister and all other people that have passed on, and creating that image in my brain helped me cope with the fact that she is not there anymore. So I did feel the shock, I felt the sadness, I felt the I don't understand the negotiation. And then I created this story. And because I created this story, then I started asking myself or wondering, did I grieve her properly? Because I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel anger, I just felt sadness. Really heavy feeling of sadness and disbelief. And then I created this story in my head where I'm okay with the fact that she's gone. And then the same thing happened for my grandpa, which was 1 year later. We knew with my grandpa, we knew that it was coming, but it still felt heavy. It hurt. I cried. I felt really heavy in my chest, like really. I felt really, really, really sad. And then I just imagined how he's with my grandmother now, and he is annoying her and bothering her, and they're reunited again, and he's reunited with his mother and his father and his brother and all of the other people who've passed on. And then I just imagined them up there in heaven, you know, reunited and just living their lives peacefully, just having a blast. So that is the story that I created for myself so that I could cope with the fact that they're gone. Because the thing is that death is the hardest on the people that are left behind. I also choose to believe that death is not the end, it's just a transition into a different frequency. So if we say the 3D, which we like, the reality, right, the real life, it's a different frequency than the spirit, right, when we transition into a different form. And because I choose to believe that, and the emphasis is on choose, I choose to believe that that is how life and death works. It makes me feel safer. It makes me feel more calm. It makes me feel, it gives me a sense of certainty. And that's another thing. Our brain, our human brain, loves certainty. And I've been sitting with this fact for the past couple of weeks, and I've been trying to figure out why. And it makes sense that certainty means that there is something that we can predict. And when we can predict something, that would give us a sense of safety because we would already know what's going to happen, so we can prepare and survive, basically, right? Certainty equals I'm going to survive. Does that make sense? It does to me. So what I feel like now in this moment in time in the world, in our world, I feel like we need to learn how to keep coming back from survival strategies demanding certainty into thriving into flow, into surrendering. And this is where faith comes in, right? And it doesn't have to be religious faith. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. It's just having faith into something greater than yourself. I used to say that I am an atheist, and I said that without even knowing what that actually means. And it was also, I said that from my ego. Now I know that I've always, all my life, I have believed into something. I just didn't want to admit it to myself because like religion was forced upon me, so naturally I had resistance to it. But now I'm choosing to come back not to a religion but to faith. I am choosing to come back to faith. I mean, it never left actually, but I'm choosing to acknowledge that I have faith into something greater, because even before, I always, whenever something went wrong, whenever there was uncertainty, whenever I was facing challenges, I was begging someone. I was talking to myself, and it was very like I didn't notice it, but after, retrospection, I was always talking to someone. I was always like, please just make this work. Please just make this work. Just make this work. Just make this end. I can't do this anymore. Just make this end, right? Just let it end. And so that was me talking to the universe, God, whatever, whatever I choose to talk to. But now, the more I started saying that, okay, I don't believe in God, but I believe in the universe, right? And I said that because I still had that resistance to the word of God and what God, the meaning that I put to what God meant, and for the meaning that my whole body, like my whole being, my whole body, and my brain, like my human avatar, put onto God is religion and going to church and sitting in a church for freaking 2 hours and just standing up, sitting down, standing up, sitting down, and just, like, ugh, kill me now, right? And so now I am learning, I'm getting curious about the universe and God as well. Like, God doesn't equal religion. God is faith. God is within us all. God is the creator of all that is. God is what created the universe, right? So, but anyway, let's not talk about that, but we are talking about faith, right? So whatever works for you, as long as you believe into something greater than yourself, may that be universe, may that be God, whatever you choose to call it, as long as you believe in something greater than yourself, that is the most important part of the human existence. And thriving within the human existence, because life is an experiment if we choose to see it as such, right? But let's say that we get to choose what we believe, right? Let's say that we choose to believe that life is an experiment, and we choose to approach life as if it's an experiment, which means that we go out and we try different things, right? And we check in with ourselves, because then we also have all sorts of traumas and conditionings and other people's thoughts and beliefs that were imprinted in our brain, programmed into our brain, so for example, children, they have unlimited imagination. They are free. They are free in their minds. And then we put more and more responsibilities and more constrictions onto them. And then we become like you know? And so and also I believe that our soul chooses our soul before we enter this life, before we enter this. I like to compare this to a Matrix, right? Or to a Sims game. Before we enter this simulation that we call life on Earth, our soul chose to be born into this certain family, and this certain family is going to give our soul specific challenges that our soul has chosen to come to overcome in this reality, in this school of life that we call human existence on Earth, right? And so all of the challenges and traumas, again, this is what I choose to believe, because it gives me a sense of agency, and it gives me a sense of empowerment. Like, I take my power back knowing that, okay, so let's say that I did choose all of these horrible things that have happened to me, all of these things that I went through in my past. If that is true, and I've chosen these things so that I can grow, so that I can evolve, so that I can, really make the most out of the human experience for this short period of time on planet Earth. What am I choosing to do with it? Am I choosing to be the victim of my circumstance and constantly allowing the past to hold me back from living in the present moment and to get excited about the future? By the way, past and future don't exist. It's just the present moment, right? But anyway, the past, am I choosing to learn from past experiences and use the past experiences to change and adapt and adjust in the present moment to become a completely different person, to shift my identity, to shift the way I think, to shift the way I feel, and then to shift the way I act and behave, to become someone completely new, someone that I am proud of, someone that I respect? Or am I choosing to think the same thoughts, feel the same feelings, act in the same way, behave in the same way, creating the same experiences, the same situations, and just stay stuck in one place and not learn and not grow and just be frustrated, right? So it's all about the choices that we get to make. As soon as we become aware that we always have a choice, and we choose to see that as a good thing, and we choose to use that to our advantage, to grow, to evolve, to shift and change, to try new things, to approach life as an experiment, it takes a lot of pressure off of life, right? And then coming back to believing in life after death, or there is something after death, it takes away the fear that this is the end and there's nothing else after that. It kind of expands our capacity, I suppose, to think about death, or to think differently about death, and it takes the pressure away, or some of the pressure. And then again, I guess it depends on your beliefs, on your background, on, you know, where you are currently in your journey. As long as it makes you feel better, as long as it's something that helps you feel safer in your body, within yourself, and it helps you move forward, and it helps you grow it and evolve, hold on to that. No matter which words and which language you use for it, right? So here's something that we can think about. What if belief is not only about what is true, or it doesn't have to be about what is true, like factual? What if belief is about what allows us to keep loving after loss, to keep our hearts open after loss? Right? That's something to think about. Because again, our brain is like a computer and we can program it. Our brain was programmed before by other people, and we didn't have much choice in it, how we got programmed, how our brain got programmed. But now, with the awareness that we are building, we have a choice. We take our power back, and we can reprogram our brain with beliefs, true or not. It doesn't even matter. I mean, true, factual or not, like scientifically proven, blah blah blah. If you need that, fine, but you don't have to, right? You don't have to have things scientifically proven and factual for you to believe them. Does that make sense? Right? So it's about what is going to make you feel better and capable of moving on, taking the next steps to continue living your life, right? Keeping your heart open. So even in a relationship, for example, you've got heartbroken so many times over and over and over again that now your brain created this belief that it's not safe to open your heart anymore. So you close your heart because it's better, because you don't want to get hurt again, right? That's not serving you. Because yes, maybe you're at this moment, you're saying to yourself, oh, I don't want a relationship, because it's not the time, and it's not this, and it's not that, and I'm focusing on other things, and I just want to focus on myself, and what's even the point, because I'm gonna get hurt anyway. So that's the belief, that's the story that our brain creates, right? Is it true? I don't think so, right? It's just based on our past experiences. But here, in this case, we have a choice. We have a choice to acknowledge the fact that yes, I got hurt in the past, and this is what I have learned from that pain, right? This is what I've learned. And so I know for a fact, I have faith that next time is going to be different, because I am a different person, because I have learned from all of those experiences. And even if next relationship is going to be something similar, or it's not going to work out either, that's okay, because I know that there is still something that I haven't learned yet, and there is something that I still need to learn. I'm gonna go open my heart, go into this relationship, new relationship, and I'm gonna learn whatever I need to learn, and I'm gonna open my heart, I'm gonna give it my all. I'm gonna be very aware of how I'm showing up in this relationship, and I will surrender to God, to universe, and see where that takes me. And if I hurt again, I will pick myself back up just like I did again and again and again and again in the past. Right? So it's the story that we are choosing to tell ourselves. And if we're not aware of these stories, they are going to run in the background without us even knowing. And so we continue. The thing is, we all want love. We all want to be loved. We all want to have a relationship, a partnership with someone and spend the rest of our lives with them, right? We're all looking for that love and acceptance and vulnerability and safety, right? But if we have these programs running in the back of our minds and we're not even aware of them, we're going to continue repeating the same cycles with different people because we have all of these beliefs and fears running our thoughts, feelings, and actions and behaviors, right? So the next question is, what happens to our nervous system when we believe that death is not the end? So our nervous system is constantly, it's looking for safety, right? And when we talk about nervous system, it's the stress responses, right? When we don't feel safe, we respond either with fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, right? And so we either lash out, let's say we have an argument with someone. When we are in an argument, we are naturally going to get defensive, which is when our shields are going to come up. And our shield is either, and that's a stressful situation, right? And that shield is then fight, flight, or freeze response. So you either, you start charging back at them, you start yelling at them, you start throwing things around, that's fight. You either flight, so you leave the conversation, you just need to leave the whole situation. Freeze, you're just there, planted on the chair, standing, and you don't know, you're like a deer in headlight. You're just, your whole system is like, it feels like you have your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time, because it's like, I don't know what's going on. You just kind of disassociate from the whole experience because you don't know what to do. It's not safe. And the alarms are going off and you're just there. And then the fawn is basically you are trying to please the other person. So they are being reactive. They are whatever. You're having this heated discussion and you are then trying to survive. You are trying to make them feel better, and just you to completely ignore the fact that there was a misunderstanding and you were misunderstood, and that this is the time where you regulate yourself, and then you express yourself. Your automatic response or reaction is to appease them, to make them feel better, to make them calm down, so that you you get back that feeling of safety, right? In this connection. When we are surviving, we are so afraid of losing the connection, or either losing the connection or well, we are surviving. So it's not even about the connection, it's just protecting ourselves the way that we've learned to do that. And so again, this is about us becoming aware of how we handle stress. How do we, how, what does happen in our bodies, and how do we behave when there's pressure put on us, when we are stressed, right? Do we shut down? Do we, do we isolate? Do we close off? Do we, like, we don't communicate? Do we lash out and start throwing things around? Or, we say things that we don't mean? Do we just freeze? And we're just like, we're not even there. We're there, but we're not there. Or we please the other person. We take it all, we just absorb it all. It's fine, I'll take the blame. Yes, you can call me all of the names that you want. I just want to please you. I just want to calm you down so that I don't lose this connection with you. Right? It's about self-awareness. So one of the biggest, coming back to what happens to our nervous system when we believe that death is not the end, our nervous system is constantly looking for safety, right? And one of the biggest threats our brain has to process is death. And if we genuinely believe that consciousness continues, like we spoke about earlier, right? That it's just like death is just a transition. The soul goes from being in the body, and then the body, it's the body that dies. It's the car, the vehicle that dies. But we continue existing, right? We just expand back to our original form, which is the energy field, basically. So if we genuinely believe that consciousness continues, then death becomes less of an ending and more of a transition. And so for many people, myself included, that can reduce fear, soften grief as well, because we know that when people pass on, they didn't cease to exist. They're still here. It's just that we can't see them. We can't hear them, with our physical senses, but we can feel them, right? They're still there in spirit, vibrating on a different frequency that we cannot see because it's a different frequency. But we cannot see with our physical senses, is what I mean. We can perceive them with our clear sentence, like clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairaudience, right? So the uncertainty feels less threatening when there's a meaningful story to hold on to, which brings us back to what I was talking about earlier. If we know this, our brain loves stories, and if we choose to use our brain to our advantage, we know that we can choose the story that we tell to our brain, right? So what I'm choosing to tell, the story that I'm choosing to tell my brain, is that my grandma and my grandpa, they are in heavens and they are having the best time of their lives. They are feeling peaceful, they are feeling happy, they are doing the things that they love doing, that I've always loved doing. And telling this story to myself makes me feel happy for them. It makes me feel love for them. I love, how sometimes people say, sometimes I believe that the unconditional love, right? The unconditional love is, for example, I love you even if you don't want to spend the rest of my life with me. I love you even if you don't want to have anything to do with me. I send you away with love, and I still feel so much love towards you, even if you're on the other side of the world. I love you, and I send you away with love, even if I can't have you in my life, right? So the same thing with death, unconditional love. I love you. I loved you when you were here with me, when I could see you and feel you and hug you and be there with you. And I also love you now that I can't see you and I can't hug you and you're somewhere else, and I know that you're having an amazing time, and I love you there, even if you're not here with me. Now, another question that I wanted to touch upon is, what if faith isn't certainty? So, what if faith is saying, I don't know what's after death, I don't know if this relationship's gonna work, I don't know if I'm getting this job, I don't know if I'll be able to stay in this apartment, I don't know if my dreams are gonna come true, and I'm willing to trust anyway. And I'm willing to trust anyway. I don't know, and I'm willing to trust anyway. Sit with that. And another thing to sit with is, if we had certainty, we would not need faith. Faith only exists because uncertainty exists. Does believing in life after death change how we live? So some people become more afraid of living because they're focused on what comes next, and others become much less afraid because death loses some of its power. Again, it completely depends on how we are choosing, right? In how we are choosing to perceive the story that we're choosing to tell ourselves, the beliefs that we're choosing to create that story in our minds. So why not use our brain to our advantage and create a story that is going to lift us up and help us move forward, lift us up and help us take that next step that's going to lead to more abundance, more expansion, more love, right? So imagine waking up tomorrow truly believing nothing real can ever be lost. How would that change your relationships, your courage, your forgiveness, your priorities? Whether or not it's objectively true, it's something that we can all sit with and really honestly evaluate. How would we be showing up in our lives? Is hope something that we choose? What hope is, it's deciding not to let uncertainty steal today's peace. When we choose hope, we choose peace, because we know, and I feel like it's also it's tightly connected with faith. When we choose hope, we choose to believe that even though I don't know how this ends, I believe that I can meet whatever comes. I believe that I can handle anything that comes. And you can do an exercise. You can just sit down, you can have a journal or something with you, and you can think back in your past every single time you have had a challenge and you've overcome it. You came on the other side of it. You got yourself through. No matter how hard it was, you got yourself through. Just by that, you can start reinforcing the belief that you can do anything you set your mind to. You can handle anything that comes your way. And that is hope. So, now, which belief serves you better? That is the question. That's the ultimate question. This is not about choosing comforting lies, although a lot of people do that as well. Again, it's about the beliefs are also which place, what place inside are you coming from when you are creating these beliefs and these stories? Are you creating these beliefs and these stories from a place of hope, faith, abundance, love, right? Or are you creating these beliefs from a place of scarcity and lack and survival and fear and ego? That is usually when we create a story built on comforting lies rather than, beliefs that are going to lift us up and move us forward, right? From what place are we creating these beliefs? So it's about recognizing that we all interpret reality through some lens. So some people believe nothing matters. Why? Others believe everything happens for a reason. That would be me. Everything's exactly as it's supposed to be. I'm exactly where I need to be, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. Everything happens for a reason and I'm not late for anything. Those are my mantras. This is something that I keep repeating to myself again and again and again. And I truly do believe in that, right? Because I believe in that. So that's something that I came up with for myself because it works for me, specifically for me. And it helps me feel better. It helps me get over the fear, get over the fear of the unknown, of the fear of the uncertainty, and just keep on going. It's a mantra that helps me. It won't necessarily help you, but it helps me, right? And then other people say, I don't know, right? I don't know, and I don't care. I don't want to know. I couldn't care less, right? So each belief shapes emotions, behaviors, relationships, and resilience. And then an interesting question becomes, which beliefs help you become more loving, more courageous, more present, and more compassionate? Which beliefs help you become a better version of yourself? Which beliefs help you be better? That is the question. What are you choosing to believe today that is going to make you show up as the best version of yourself today? That's all I care about for me. For the past 2-3 years, that is all I cared about. Every single day I wanted to show up as the best version of myself. So I have to keep asking myself, what am I choosing to believe today that is preventing me from showing up as the best version of myself I can be today? And what do I need to, what do I want to choose? What am I choosing to believe that's going to help me show up as the best version of myself today? Right? Something to sit with. So, if science could never prove or disprove life after death, if nobody could ever know for certain, which belief would you choose? You, right? And then maybe the even deeper question here is, why would you choose that belief? Right? Because whatever answer you give probably says as much about how you relate to uncertainty as it does about what you think happens after we die. And I want to end this video with, every human being lives by faith, and not necessarily religious faith, but faith. We have faith that our partner won't leave us tomorrow. Well, some of us do. We have faith that the plane will land. We have faith the sun will rise. We have faith our hard work will pay off at some point. And none of us has certainty about these things, right? So maybe the question isn't whether we have faith. Maybe the question is what we are placing our faith in. So that's something that I want to leave you with. Thank you so much for watching. Click subscribe if you enjoyed this content, and I will make sure to come up here and share more of these kinds of videos with you guys.